Now what are passive? Now active stretches you have known is exactly like we've done, you're involving a muscle to help you to stretch. Passive, exact opposite. Okay. Now passive stretches are where you are relaxed and the stretch happens. And the stretch generally happens with the assistance of a partner. And that's why sometimes they are also called partner assisted stretches. Okay. So a passive stretch, to give you an example, okay, would be where I assist Varun now to do these movements which were done. Okay. So if we start with first maybe the upper body, he has just now done an active move, right? So if you can turn around Varun, now if he contracts, okay, and if he holds, now what do? I first ask him to go as high, and now you relax. Now relax the body, let go of your hands. The important thing to do here, you can interlock your fingers, but don't have any muscular effort. And then important is to first ask how high. So tell me how high can I go, Varun, till we are comfortable? This is enough? Perfect. So now where he's comfortable is where I hold. So the point of passive stretch is extremely important to understand, is to go till where it's comfortable. It's passive. You don't want to break the person's arm. Okay. So make sure you don't go beyond where it's comfortable. Hold it for approximately 15 seconds or so and then down. Okay. You can go up to around 20 seconds. Okay. Anything which has static nature in it, generally beyond 15 to 20 seconds is pretty effective. We do this again. Now how to do this? Sometimes, and this is especially important for SNC coaches, physios, you don't want to be lifting the whole time. And the reason is because you just get extremely tired trying to do this. Passive stretches with partners can be extremely tiring for the person who's doing it. You don't want to end up in back pain yourself. So first ask them to lift. Once they've lifted, hold. Now relax your arms and then you go. Tell again where to stop. Okay. When you ask them in a loud place, you also want them to be pretty loud, you know. Say, when they say stop, use the word stop rather than yes, because sometimes you can have mistake. You don't want to ask, you know, should I push more? And if they say no, and you hear more, and then you start pushing, and this has happened with me. Okay, so that's why I'm explaining, okay. You need to be very clear about sounds, because you could push and get the person to pull a muscle, okay. So relax, good. Now a general idea, I would suggest, with stretches, whenever you do any stretch which is sort of extreme, like now he's done it to a good decent range, when it's over and if the pectoralis major was involved and it was stretched, the biceps were stretched, the exact opposite to be done after that is to do this. So that muscle which has been stretched, you just shorten it to give it a break. Okay, otherwise a lot of times, that's why people don't like stretching, because of the fact that when they've stretched, it hurts. And that pain, when you stop also it hurts. But you do the exact opposite, it gives it some relief. Okay. So go in the exact opposite motion that you've done when you're finished. So if you're doing a hamstring stretch, do that. And once you're done, just do a quadricep stretch. Just bend, or just bend the knee, even if you're not stretching it properly. Okay. So if you can just hold this, it's much better to just hold for a while after doing a hamstring stretch. Okay. So now we've shown you how to do a partner assisted stretch, or what's called a passive stretch for the upper body. Okay. And there are various ways we can do this, like, really in various ways. Upper body, we've shown you something. Now we'll show you something which is very commonly done. Two stretches I'll show you which are done in lying position for the hamstrings, very common areas to work. Okay. So if you can lie down, Varun. Now again, I'll show you sort of a small hack, okay, whereby when you do a hamstring stretch, you don't want to directly jump into doing a hamstring stretch. Why? Because again, you don't want to stretch the muscle at the hip joint, knee joint, and directly take him into that stretch. You want to first work on the hip. So let's assume this is an athlete. They finished a match, okay, they just want to get a good passive stretch probably after a certain point, and you want to get them free. First you work just around the hip, okay. So you work on hip flexion, okay. You can then work on a bit of glute stretching and then get to hamstrings. They'll always feel much better and less painful. So how to do let's say working at the hip. So first would be here, once he comes up, okay. To make your life slightly easy, what you could do, if Varun, you can maybe hold your knee. So he does this himself, right? Now I want him to be stretching a bit more with some assistance. So what do? I just hold here, okay. I will lock with my free leg. I will lock here. I can keep my hand here or just gently assist a bit further. Tell me when to stop. Stop. Okay, so stop is a very good term to know exactly because it means the same across boards, okay. So then he knows how much stretch is enough, okay. So when he says stop, you stop, hold for approximately around 15 seconds or so, and then you relax, okay. You move to the other side, okay, same thing. Okay. So here we are. I lock his other knee down, pull as much as you can, okay. Yeah, now you tell me how far I can pull. So as you can see, I'm pushing a bit more than what he would be able to do himself, okay. So he's able to relax into it, but the whole load is not coming onto me. Now what happens with a lot of therapists, physiotherapists, trainers, when they do these stretches, what happens is now, Varun, take your hands off and just relax. Now his hamstrings are really pushing down towards me, his hip is pushing down, that force of extension I have to resist. And this can actually be pretty tiring for me to hold it there. There's a lot of muscular effort, okay. So asking the athlete to get involved in that makes your job easier. If you have to work with 3-4 people during a day, you will end up getting back pain if you don't sort out your own positioning as well, okay. So don't be that person who's just putting all the load, okay, and putting your body in an awkward position. So there'll be some other stretches we'll be doing. Varun, if you can take off your shoes, just keep them here itself, we'll go through them. So I'll show you quickly, and these are real world issues, like shoes for example. And somebody is wearing, fine, if they are wearing it, sometimes for some stretches you take them off. So now again, I'll go through the same stretch, second time, okay. And this time I'll show you maybe a slightly different variation if you want to put a bit more pressure. So again, if you can pull it in, hold, this will save you a lot of time, this will save a lot of backs. So learn to get the athlete also active into this. Now what happens here, okay, if you don't tell the athlete and you're pushing, the athlete's pretty happy, the athlete just relaxes there. Sometimes you'll have athletes who'll be on phones, okay, they'll check their phone and you stretch and you're literally dying there with your back muscles, okay. So make sure they hold, you then just add a bit extra so the athlete's also aware of where their body is. Now this, if you want, you can place their foot on your shoulder and then it's even easier for you. Now my arm work is not happening. Tell me when to stop. Stop. And this leg is keeping it down. Now I need to be ensuring that the flesh of my leg is pushing in. It's not my tibia, okay. Don't push with the bone. This can be quite painful for the athlete. On the knee joint, this can also be pretty painful. So you have to be, wherever your body is touching, it has to be gentle. A stretch has to be gentle. Stretches are not this. You're not trying to break. It's not some carpentry work we are doing. It's some actual stretching which has to be done gently. One mistake here, just a bit extra, and if he pulls a groin muscle, he's got a match tomorrow, all the work goes off, okay. So you can put the leg on your shoulder if you want your legs, arms to work even less. So check how easy it becomes for me now. I'm just leaning onto it. I'm using my body weight. Now look what happens as I start taking all these support systems off. Now I take my shoulder off. Now I'm still pushing with my leg, okay. Now I take his hand off, okay. I'm pushing with my arms even more. If I don't lock this down, it becomes even harder. And what also happens, as I push here, most of the time the knee comes up. I push here and the athlete's pelvis will go into a posterior tilt and the knee comes up. So you think you're reaching a greater stretch, but it's not, because the pelvis is changing, this comes up and the knee goes higher. So these are things which we need to understand, okay, from an anatomical point of view. Lock, but be gentle, okay. Now, before doing the hamstring stretch, one is this. Let's say now we've done it both sides, okay, both hips are free, or rather we've moved the hip in a sagittal plane, okay. Now let's go from the groin, we'll work a bit on his glutes. So again, I'll show you sort of a move which can be done, which without stressing you, you can do it. So Varun, what I'd like you to do now is do this, cross one foot over, bend the knee, right? Now before you pull, okay, or you can pull your knee but hold under the hamstring. Good. Now get your foot up, okay. Now it's here, you place it on your thigh, okay, you place it here now, nice and comfortable, okay. It's easy, I have to not do much now. Now you tell me how far I can go. Tell me when to stop. Now very comfortable for me, okay, no issues, I can be here as long as I want, okay. He also gets an idea of how far and how much his hip is stretching. Now on the contrary, okay, if not this, how would I make a mistake? What if I hold this and I try this now? People sometimes try this. There's so much of load on your back, you check how your back is, or they are trying this and this is slipping. So much strain on the arm, okay. So you want to make stretching easy, okay. You don't want to make stretching hard for that person, nor for you, okay. So stand, lock it in place just by getting the stretch on an area which is least stressful for you, okay. You don't want to do this, or you don't want to be doing this because there's so much strain. My traps, upper trapezius is active. I'm trying to push with my wrist, okay. When it's all done, I would need therapy. Let's try the other side. So hold, very simple, bend your knee, okay. There you tell me how far, okay. Tell me when to stop. Now makes it so easy for me, right? I'm not stressed, athlete is not stressed, athlete is aware of their body. What would happen otherwise now? Let's say Varun, you take your hands out and keep it to the side. Now here what can happen is sometimes as I push, okay, slip can happen. You can see how unstable the hip becomes. So let them hold again, okay. So now see, even if I move, he is still able, the pelvis is not going all over the place because the hands are locking the lower body, okay. There's a connect, it's almost like a closed chain movement, okay. So you hold this for approximately say 20 seconds. So first you've done a groin stretch where it's straight pulling, then I've done a glute stretch, his glutes are free, okay. Now what I'll do is I'll do another glute stretch where there's a bit of rotation. So you can keep one leg straight, okay. You can cross the other leg there. You can keep your arms out maybe at 90 degrees and just cross the foot, yeah. You can keep the foot close to your body. Now here my aim is to one, keep his shoulder down. When I keep his shoulder down, don't press here onto the GH joint or the glenohumeral joint. Don't press too hard. You just want to keep it there, okay. And this hand, you want to just push to the point where he feels it in the gluteals. So once I'm here, and once you're pushing down, don't push in that direction, push here, okay. So pushing down to get a stretch in the glutes. Tell me when to stop. Are you feeling it in the glutes? Tell me when to stop, okay. So when he says stop, simple, stop. You don't have to be the guy, you know, who says that, oh, come on, you can push, you're an athlete, and go and stretch further, okay. So when he says stop, hold it for 20 seconds. Easy, relax. Now of course I'm not putting my knee here. I can make it more comfortable for myself by being in this position. I can just go here and press, okay. If I'm doing it on a mat, it becomes much easier because the knee is soft, okay. We can do the other side. Let's try the other option, okay. So go there, go down, okay, turn a bit, let the foot go down, yes. Head can be this direction, right. So here we are, I put my knee down, nice and comfortable. Tell me how far. So. Now here a mistake that happens, okay, and I'll slightly move out to show what people can do. To get further range, people press here, he will arch his back and go further, okay, and this is where the lower back kicks in. You don't want the lower back, you don't want extension here, you don't want him arching and getting range, okay. If anything, you want the lower back as flat as it can be, and you want movement happening at the glute region, okay, here. You want this, so that's why you want to press down. Can you feel that now? Here versus this. Can you make out the difference as you see in the video? Okay, so this is extremely important. You don't want a roll. This is not a roll, okay. This is nothing but what you're doing is at the hip joint, you are doing horizontal adduction. So he's pulling his femur here at a horizontal point in. He is not just keeping his pelvis here and rolling and arching and rotating from the spine. Do you feel it in the hip now? Okay, it's more on the back. And then people think, why am I getting back pain? Okay, because they end up doing this. And then to make it worse, they think, oh, let me keep this down, don't move, and they twist. It's not some towel that you're squeezing, okay? You want to ensure that you're working the hip joint. So now once it's done with these, okay, now we move on to the hamstring, which is the main idea which we wanted, right? So how do we do the hamstring stretch? Two variations if you are doing. If you want it to be comfortable, if the person is not too used to it, get that person to do it with their knee bent. So one knee bent, you can actually bend both knees, yes. Get one leg up, okay. You hold here, very simple. You can put it across your hip if you want, and then you just move, tell me when to stop. Okay, so that's a pretty decent range. Now what's one thing which is happening at the pelvis? Okay, pelvis is in a posterior tilt, okay, both legs, okay. So that becomes one of the ways to know, okay, that this is a easier stretch compared to the next one that we try. Now we can make this a bit slightly harder by getting the calves involved, okay. How do we involve the calves here? One, you just do some dorsiflexion. Can you feel it more in the calves? Okay, so you hold. So now his calves are involved, hamstrings are involved as well. So you relax. Again, let go, bend the knee, keep it down. Great. Other side, let this come up. And again, you hold. You just go. Tell me when to stop. Now once here, wait for a while before you engage the calf. Because sometimes you straight away use the calf. He doesn't really know how much the hamstring is stretched. So maybe wait for 10 seconds. Then get into dorsiflexion. Tell me how much. Enough. Okay. And then you hold. Now you relax. Okay. Comes back. Now you can do this around 3 times. Okay. Now he's in a much more comfortable position because I've made him do the hip stretches first and then moved on to this versus me directly getting him into a stretch and saying, okay, let's stretch the hamstrings. Now the slightly more advanced version, okay. In this, one leg is straight. So one leg, you can see the pelvis is in almost in a neutral position. And now we do, so the distance now, what happens here is that between the hamstrings, you know, because the pelvis is kind of moving in such a way that one leg is straight, he'll feel a much more greater stretch and will make it even more specific by doing certain things. So now here, what does he do? You get his leg up, okay. You can be here. You can maybe actually use this as a second progression. First one was that. Second could again be the same. You just do this, okay, and sort of, you know, make him stretch, okay. So this can be a second progression. Third one, okay, the one which is actually the hardest and which is most common and it's done pretty much by a lot of therapists and trainers, is when you go down, okay, you're here to put your knee, make yourself comfortable first, okay. So a simple variation is keep his leg on your shoulder, so you're easy. I'm least bothered now because my back is not taking load. What you don't want to do is this, okay. This you are engaging your core. The position you are in is not the best for your back. So me trying this, not that great. It's like trying to push a bar, and hamstrings of athletes will be pretty tight and pretty strong. You don't want to be, you know, fighting against somebody's body. Okay, you want to be easing them off into a stretch. So here I am, okay. I keep my shoulders relaxed. His leg is relaxing there. Now first I can just lock his knee, okay. So earlier while standing, the drawback is that the knee can be something slightly bent. Here what I do instead, I push and lock his knee into position. Okay, so I push it down, hamstring stretches fully. Right at the insertion, it is getting stretched all the way. I lock. From here, I push gently. Tell me how far is okay. Okay, good. And sometimes it's good to ask words and signs. If you say this, or if they say this, stop. Okay, so clear signs. Now once here, hold for around 10 seconds. Then what do? I get the calf involved. Again, tell me when to stop. So this becomes something where you're locking. Now you might say though, hang on, what's happening with this leg? Because even if I push, that leg will come up. At a certain point, the knee will bend. So what do? You do what you did in the beginning. Okay, what you did when you did the knee stretch, okay, where his knee was going close. So you lock this, again gently. You don't step on this. Gently lock so that this knee doesn't come up. Put the leg on your shoulder. Lock the knee. Now you go. Tell me when to stop. So now as I'm doing this, this weight is down. Okay, and then you want to pull. Tell me when to stop. Hold this for approximately 20 seconds. And then relax. Now when you let go, again make it a habit, bend the knee. Like I said, the exact opposite of stretching is what we are doing and is relaxing. Okay, let's try the other leg. Can go there, up. So I'll straight now go into the advanced version. Okay, I will lock his knee, rest his leg here, lock the knee here, go further. Okay, and sometimes you'll find one leg might be less flexible compared to the other. Then you move, you hold, as you're stretching, you can look for the reactions also of the person. If they make a face, you kind of know that the stretch is too strong. Okay, so we've done this by first moving the knee in, right? Then we've moved cross. Okay, we've done a glute stretch as well. Then we've moved to this. So it's a nice progression for the person who's sort of doing this. Okay, so with these stretches, now one thing, and I would like to really explicitly explain this from an athlete's point of view. You don't want to get pleasure out of stretching where the athlete is crying. I have heard of cases where athletes have actually cried, and I've heard, where they've told me that the stretch was so bad that they actually had tears in their eyes, but the person stretching was not listening. It could be a physiotherapist, it could be a strength coach. There is no fun in trying to do a stretch which you can't. Okay? You're not working in some movie to make the person cry and make it sound as if that's the way to do it. Okay? If anything, if there's any damage there, it can have unnecessary complications. So especially while working around the groin or any muscle, don't take the athlete beyond a range which they know. They generally know their body the best. You don't have to be the person who comes and just tries to make everything tough, whether it's the workout or stretching. And that's why that work hard approach can be a very tricky one, because everything can be extreme. If they are running, you have to make them run more. If they are lifting weights, you have to make them lift more. If they are stretching, which is supposed to be relaxing, you have to stretch them more. So really speaking, what do we gain from this? So that's why we have to be clever enough to know exactly what is required and what to do in these passive stretches. Okay. Now one more passive stretch I'll show, which can actually help your players, or rather I'll show 1, 2, 3 stretches, and I employ these and they are pretty good from a recovery point of view. So Varun, if you can lie on your stomach now. So something again very simple which doesn't strain me. So this is for his lats, okay, to give him a good stretch in the lats. So what I would do, Varun, is now you can place your head down on the floor, okay. You can hold my ankles with your arms, okay. So just hold behind, yes, okay, here, and place your head down, okay. Now what I would do is, I will pull his arm slightly. So this is almost like doing a pull-up hang, okay. I go back. You tell me, Varun, if it's enough or you need more stretch. Enough? Yeah. Okay. What you can do to say enough is you can just move one finger and sort of then I know, okay. So you hold for a while, change. Now if it's too much, you just use all your fingers. Is this okay? This is good? Yeah. So now we'll be doing a stretch for his lats, okay, which again for those who especially are involved in maybe tennis, badminton, can really help them feel good without the strain. So Varun, what I want you to do is hold my ankles, okay. Yep. So you're here. Okay, nice and relaxed. Great. So what do I do now? I stretch one side. Let's say I stretch his right side. So I just take foot behind and I give him a good stretch. Now the advantage here, as you can see, his body almost comes forward. Okay, he holds, then I let go of this side. He relaxes a bit, then the other side. As you can see, his body moves. Because it's a big muscle involved, my legs, I'm not feeling any strain. Imagine if I had to do this with my arms. This would tire me unnecessarily, right? So then you relax. Then you can do both legs. So you go back and you go back. A nice stretch. So this is almost like hanging off a pull-up bar. Now without hanging, without the strain on his wrist. And unlike a pull-up bar though, here a greater part of his body is in touch with the floor. So there's some resistance as well. And he gets a much better stretch. When it's done, you relax. Okay, relax. Now you take your arms down. We do the exact opposite. So take your arms next to your body. Okay. So now his lats were gone up, right, into flexion. Now we get his arms next to him. Okay. So now what do we do next is we do a stretch which is slightly, you would see this in some massage techniques they do. So you can interlock your fingers, Varun. Yep. And what I want you to do here is I want you to come up and then I'll be holding your wrists and stretching you further. So first you come up as high, good. Now I hold him once he's there. I rest my elbows on my knees. Tell me how high is okay, Varun. Is it good? Good. Now as you can see, I'm resting my elbows on my knees. So I'm pretty relaxed. What I don't want to do is this. Okay, it's all coming onto my back now. Okay, so just hold easy. You're locking yourself into position. Nice and easy. Then you give him a break and we do it again. So he can rest for a while. Give him 10 seconds. When you're resting, make it a habit not to rest like this. Always rest your back. Okay. My arms are rested. Even better, you stand for a while. Okay. Let's do it again, Varun. So hold, squeeze your back, come up. Tell me how far I can pull. Okay. So again, no pressure for me. Now where you don't want to hold is not his wrists. Okay, this will be painful. Don't hold here. This will be painful. You don't want to obviously hold on the elbows. Just here, just above the wrists, on the bone, gentle grip. Don't press so hard that it's hurting him. It's more a grab and I'm using my body weight. As you can see, I'm leaning back. I'm not doing this. It's not my biceps. Okay, you need to really get in touch with your own body while lifting. And that's why it's important that you exercise yourself. And relax. Good. Great. Now his arms were down. We again now get his arms for the next stretch up all the way. Okay, so you can get your arms up all the way, Varun. Now what we'll do is to get some reversal of blood flow. Okay, so that a stretch which is again a partner assisted stretch. This can be, I mean, it might require a bit of strength compared to most stretches, but still it's not too hard. You'll basically be holding, I'll be holding his just above his ankles and then lifting the legs up. So very relaxing stretch for the person. Okay. So here is down. You can bend your knees. Okay. You hold here. Okay. Make sure the grip is nice and firm but not squeezing. Here. Check that you lift by taking your hip down. Then you just go up. And you just stand relaxed. Is this okay, Varun? Yeah. Good. Now what you want to do is you are rested. Okay, you yourself, I am rested myself. I am in a straight position. What I am not doing is this. If I do this, I am asking for trouble for my back. Okay, so you just want to be here, relaxed. You can slightly change the stretch by letting the pelvis go a bit lateral and then pulling a bit. Okay, again I go a bit lateral, other side, pull a bit. Then again I come here. Just make sure when people are doing this stretch to relax. Relax your legs, Varun. There you go. You can see that difference. He let go. Otherwise a lot of people become very tense in this position. It's a great stretch for the hip flexors, a little bit for the quadriceps, and it's just that your feet are up. Always feels nice. A good extension for the spine in a very different manner. Now this is one thing, you can't do it yourself. You need somebody else to do this for you. Okay. So relax. You go down, make sure your back is safe in this hole. sort of program. Okay, so you can come up, Varun. So now next one, okay, we'll be going to what's called the most common one, static stretches. Static stretches are great to be done post your playing. You don't want to do static stretches before your event or before the main matches or something, because static stretches somehow override the stretch reflex component. Okay, so when you read up on that, you obviously will know. But yes, static stretches are to be done post your matches and stuff. So how do you do it? Very simple. If you do, say, again, a common area hamstring, how to stretch it is when you put it somewhere and hold. So far we've done stretches where, say, Varun was lying now. I would just show static stretch, which maybe I would do. And again, because I'm used to practicing many of these stretches, so that's why I'll show. Now maybe this, I want to put my foot up here and then I want to hold it there and stretch and relax into it. So this is almost like a partner. I could do this on something fixed, or I could be lying down and getting a person to do it for me, but holding. Main difference between static and passive is that static stretches go a bit beyond comfort range. Passive stretches are passive, where the person is relaxed. You don't want the person stressed. Static stretches, because it's under my control, I know that I go into a bit more developmental stretch. Okay, so if I show this now from here, I go up, hold, okay, and as I'm holding, now this is sort of comfortable for me. Now what do? I pull my toes back to get a bit more stretch, hold, even pull further. Now I'm really feeling it in my hamstrings, maybe 10%. So this becomes a static stretch. I hold for approximately 20 seconds. I relax. So that's a true static stretch. I do the same with the other leg. I go up and keep this leg up, boom, here, stay there, relax into it, stretch as much as I can, go a bit further. Now because I'm doing it myself, this becomes easier. If I had to ask somebody else to push, they would probably push it beyond my comfort range. So static stretches become slightly more, you could say, effective compared to passive stretches, but passive stretches are much more relaxing. So if a player has access to a strength coach or a physiotherapist post a match, passive stretches become very relaxing for them. But then again, like I said, you don't want to be so tired that you are kind of having a back pain. So static stretches become these. All right. Now the next static stretch, if it's for an upper body, could be this. You hold. Very common stretches. You turn as much as you can and you hold. 20 seconds you hold. So the pectoralis major, the pec fibers in the direction they're getting stretched well. You can do this in 3 directions. You can do it at shoulder height, higher, and also lower. Okay, so you can do static stretches. I'm not going to cover much because these are very common. We basically, what we call stretches are generally done as static stretches. Now, the important ones, okay, the 2 styles which actually are more effective to do, but again advanced, and you need to make sure that these are done by adults, by trained people who specifically have strength. So one is isometric stretches and one is what's called PNF, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. Don't get too confused with the name. Just remember that they are called PNF stretches, or sometimes even called muscle energy techniques, but it's nothing but a form of stretch which helps you attain a bit more range. So now in these ones, what we'll be doing is, I'll show this on Varun. Varun, if you can lie down. So we'll work on his hamstrings again. Now Varun is going to have very flexible hamstrings tomorrow, or very sore hamstrings. If you can take your shoes off, Varun. Now again, advanced ones, I'm just going to use him, but these are to be done for athletes who are into training. They should be doing squats, deadlifts, so on and so forth. Then it works well. So if you can keep one leg straight, that one ideally, this one goes up. Okay. Now here I lock. Okay, and it's simple. Isometric stretches are a milder version of PNF. So tell me when to stop. Okay. Now at this position, you push down on my shoulder. Okay, push down from your hip. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now relax. Now he's pushed. So what's the exact opposite that a muscle does when the muscle has been used in a stretch? It will relax. So now you go further. Tell me when to stop. And you can see the range is definitely more than what it was. Okay. So you can hold that again for some 20 seconds. We'll let him relax because he's been stretching quite a bit. Now the difference between isometric, you can use this technique for any muscle. You get max and then you stretch and hold, or you can end up doing isometric with an advanced version which is called the PNF. PNF is sometimes also called, there are different methods in that, the hold relax. Then there's the CRAC, which is called the contract antagonist, contract relax antagonist contract. Okay, so that becomes another form, where you stretch. So now in this you'll notice the range really improves very quick. Okay, so I'll be locking his knee, getting the leg up, and then again sort of stretching, and you'll notice the range will go pretty good quite fast. Okay, so what we'll do is now, Varun, this time, okay, let's first just check his range. Tell me how much you can go. Right, so you can see almost a straight line. Now we'll do the crack method, CRAC, and then let's just see how it improves. Okay, so first let's relax the hamstrings. Now what I'll be doing is locking his knee. Okay, there it is, locked. Tell me how far to push. Okay, now push on my shoulders, down. We're going to do approximately, say, 10 seconds. Relax. Now what you do, contract the quadriceps as if you want to bring your legs here, as if you want to really take the leg up. So contracting, contracting, contracting. Relax. Now push down again once more. I tend to do this twice. Okay. Relax. Now what I do, instead of pushing it immediately, because I found that there's a lot of pressure, you just ease off a bit. Earlier when we tested, the foot was right above his hip. So what we do instead is now check. Okay, tell me, Varun, how far we can go. You tell where to stop. And as you can see, I'm locking his knee and still. Okay, you can see how far his ankle is now compared to his hip. It was earlier here. Now, tell me when to stop. With a proper lock knee, definitely greater range, right? So, you can come up, we'll do a standing one as well. So the PNF stretches, they do actually work pretty well, very effective. It's just that the muscles have to be strong. If you tend to do it on somebody maybe who's a newcomer to the gym, maybe if it's someone who's never stretched before, never trained, those muscles are not able to stretch in their end range. Okay, so the isometric method and the PNF stretches, not really suggested for beginners. But for athletes who are already strong, these can really be magical. And the main reason being, when you want to increase their end range, when they are really sort of flexible, you want them to stretch. These stretches become effective to go to that end range. Okay, I'll show this now on his shoulder and you'll see how his range improves. So you could be here, Varun, maybe face sideways, lock your shoulders, hold your hands behind. If we do an active stretch, just lift as high as you can. I can see that's the range. Okay, it's just about this much distance. Okay, now if I do a passive stretch, I'll get it slightly higher. Tell me how high. Okay, more. Is this okay? Yeah. Cool. So this is the range. Can I go more or this is okay? This is fine, right? So now that's his range. Now do remember, his wrist is around here. Okay, so you could see if I'm standing here, just above my belly button. Okay, now what we'll do, relax the arms, we'll be doing the PNF and then check the range, how high it goes. Okay, so this time interlock your fingers. Okay, get your hands back. So now first I stretch till where it's okay. Tell me, this is fine. Good. Now push down on my hands. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now push up on my hands. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Push down on my hands. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now relax a bit, shake the hands, and now when I lift, remember his hand was coming till around here, right, just above my navel. Now interlock your hands behind, okay, and let's check his flexibility now. Keep the arms relaxed. Check where it's come now. Tell me when to stop. You can see the difference, where it was earlier and where it is now, okay. So that's why this works, that's why it's called proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. So there is a neural effort as well in this, and the whole stretch reflex, the Golgi tendon organ, I mean, once you read up on that, you'll understand how they play into this. But just to show it practically, both on the leg and on the arms as well, this can really improve range. And the most important part is that it improves range at the end range. Okay, so let's say there's a wrestler or a mixed martial art, a jiu-jitsu guy, whose shoulder is used to going in extreme position. These stretches can help them a lot. Their hips are used to going in extreme position, it can help. Players who are used to reaching out, your gymnasts, it can help a lot, okay. So PNF stretching becomes the ultimate to be done with the most care and caution. It's just like how power becomes the most ultimate. There's stability, strength, then there's your various forms, stability, endurance, then there's your various forms of strength, hypertrophy. We're looking at, absolute strength, or then we're looking at power. So power becomes the ultimate. Same goes with stretching. PNF is the last. So going through all of them, remember, there's ballistic, there's dynamic, there's active, there's passive, there's static, then there's isometric, and then the extension of isometric is PNF, okay, in which I've shown you one way, which is called the CRAC, which is contract, relax, antagonist, contract. Okay, so hope this helps making you design programs which have flexibility to be used, and flexibility in itself can be manipulated so much across joints to make the joint stronger, okay, and to make the body into a much more usable machine. Okay, so hope this has helped you, and we'll be seeing you in the next lecture. Thank you.